It's been a journey to get to this point, I tell you, but I am so excited to formally welcome you to the Drone Film Guide YouTube studio. I'm sitting here in a corner of our garage. Everything you see here was done on a DIY basis. I think you can do the same with the exception of the construction of the garage, but that's a whole other story. But if you have a basement, a garage, spare room, whatever, you can relate to this and you can do this too on a fairly inexpensive basis. So let's get into that now, and maybe you'll find it interesting seeing our journey in terms of creating this studio. I hope you enjoyed the little time-lapse sequence. It seems like a while ago that we did that. Let's talk about the key components of this studio here. You can see the backdrop here, it runs behind me and to the side as well. The idea there is that we can have different options as time goes on for different orientation. Here we can have a kind of cove idea. Maybe I stand here, who knows, you can see a bit more depth. Stand here, stand here, stand here, who knows. So lots of options in that respect. Table. This was made out of recycled timber from a failed gate project at the front of the house. So in theory you could say this cost nothing. This is just tongue and groove wood. I stuck it all together, oiled it. Got some legs off eBay. I don't know, they were about 40 quid or something. So okay, the table wasn't free and the failed gate project wasn't free, but nonetheless, make the most of what you got. That's the ethos of everything that we do here. Make the most of what you've got, hence the table. Let me tell you about the styling for a little second. Now this table, as you can see, a nice rich lush orange. That background there, kind of bluish. It's actually a kind of teal colour. It's got a bit of green in it, a little bit of kind of turquoisey. Orange and teal sound familiar? The most popular, possibly overused cinematic colour grade on the planet as we speak. Well, I don't care, it looks amazing. Complementary colours look great. And also with a dark background there, I stand off that background. I have quite pale skin. I want it to be seen, I want a nice contrast. If I was against a white wall, there wouldn't really be much depth in the image. I would kind of blend in with it. It might not look that good. And I just love the way this table looks. Even the direction of these slats was actually deliberate, believe it or not. I could have run the slats this way, but I ran them this way because I wanted to create some kind of depth, bringing you into the image. It is a nice big space here, but it's not absolutely huge. I'm only a metre away from this wall, so I want to try and create some kind of sense of depth in here. Hence all these various ideas. If you had a much bigger space, I would just move this table miles away from the wall and it would create a nice shallow depth of field, but that's not really possible here. If I had to pick the most important component of the setup, it would be that light. Jeez, look at the size of it. I've never seen it from that angle before. It's massive. Now, actually, that's just a standard 100 watt constant LED light source. That gives out the equivalent of about 1,000 watts tungsten in old money. Even more important probably is that huge big softbox that I've got on there, big octabox to soften the light. Look at the shadow on the back wall there, how soft it was. If it wasn't for that modifier, it would look like I'm getting hit by direct sun. You'd see an exact replica of my body shape on the wall there. Wouldn't look cool at all. Worse than that, the face would just look awful with these harsh shadows. Now, I'm not concerned about beauty lighting, but I do want it to look cinematic and professional. That's just an unbranded softbox off Amazon. It was about £50, so it wasn't even expensive. Does the trick perfectly. There's a whole lot of mystique about modifying lights and all that kind of stuff. Basically, you just want to shine the thing through a great big white sheet. That's the bottom line, just to soften that light source. In terms of positioning, rather than have the light right in front of me, partly because the camera's there and in the way, I've just got it off to the side a little bit. I want a little bit of shadow down the side of my face. Again, I'm trying to create depth in this image. I want a nice three-dimensional image because it is a fairly flattish, not particularly interesting scene. So just little tricks like the light, the angle of the wood, stuff like that helps with that. As for the camera, I'm shooting on a Panasonic GH5 with a 30mm equivalent lens. So it's a fairly wide lens, but it's not too wide that my head is all distorted at the top of the frame. And it's also not too narrow a focal length that the camera has to be 5 meters away to fit me in the frame. So I find that a very practical setup. As you can see, the camera's about 1.5 meters away from me there. It is a fairly expensive camera if you're starting out, but you don't need anything like that expensive a camera. Way more important is your light. Now, just to clarify, you can stand next to a window on a dull day and you will have a nice soft light source. So by all means do that. You'll probably get as good a result as this, but you can't control it. So the beauty of working in a studio with a constant light is that you can control the situation. So since we're talking about studios, let me show you what we used for the last 2 years. This umbrella, I think, cost about £20. It's a branded one, so it actually is quite good quality. It lasts. We've had loads that just disintegrate in 5 seconds because they're like $5 jobs off eBay. This is a Yongnuo 216 LED circular light. I got this on eBay as well. Battery's about 20 quid, the light's about £50. There's a wee bracket under there. So that you can put that umbrella through there and boom, look at that. Light source. Nice, beautiful, soft light source. You can also plug that into a power adapter so you have a constant light source, or you can just run it off the batteries. Put that down. I've got 2 of those Yongnuo 216 LED lights shining on the back wall there for quite a cool effect. It looks nice, but let me show you this. Now, okay, this is not a professional green screen kind of chroma key setup, far from it, but it works at the end of the day, and if it works, then I'm happy enough with that. You can also have a bit of fun playing around with the positioning of the lights, so let's make this one a backlight over my shoulders, shall we? It's okay, it's kind of stylish, nice rim light there. Should probably have put it up higher, but you get the idea, looks kind of cool. Or how about that? A little halo effect. I think that looks quite cool. So many things to be done with these cheap lights. It's great fun. So let's talk audio recording for a second. Audio is arguably more important than the quality of your video. If you have fantastic video but terrible audio, then forget about it. If on the other hand your video is not so good but your audio is gorgeous, then happy days. If you combine the two, then even better. Right, so at the moment I am recording on a Tascam DR10 sound recorder, a little lav mic that goes here. That is pretty much most of the time what we use. Now the benefits of it are that it's very portable, so you can just walk around with it on. You don't need to worry about moving about in terms of audio drop-off because you're getting further away from a fixed microphone. But the downside of it is that there's risk of wind noise if you're outside, rustling on the clothes, just things can go wrong. You can tap it by mistake. So it can be a bit of a pain, but that's the setup that we're using at the moment. That's not the cheapest option, it has to be said. A lot of people might use something like this Zoom H1, and you can plug a little cheap lav mic into the side of that. That's probably a cheaper option. It's a bit bigger, that doesn't really fit in your pocket very well. The other thing that we've done in the past is use, this is a Rode VideoMic Pro, great little kind of vlogging mic, but with audio you need to be close to the sound source. No matter how good your microphone is, you need to be close to the sound source. So with that in mind, we've used this extension cable, plugs into the side of the GH5, microphone plugs into here, and we've run the cable all the way from the camera down to the microphone sitting down here, give or take. It's an okay option, but it's not as good as this lav mic. What we're looking into is having a shotgun mic set up here on a boom pole that comes out the side and goes into a separate external sound recorder. It's a bit faffy. It's probably the best professional option. We'll see. I don't know. There's a lot of ways of doing things, but that's how we do it at the moment with these little Tascam sound recorders. Oh, acoustic treatment. This stuff is fantastic. It's not the cheapest given that it's just a big pile of foam, but I guess someone has to go to the trouble of making it and cutting it out, but it's not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. Get rid of that for a second. Yeah, nice. It's actually, acoustics in here are not too bad because the garage is completely full of stuff, but the last thing you want is any boom in your audio. So we've got a little panel of this on the wall that you can see here in the wide angle, and I'm particularly proud of this ceiling hanging thing that I did on just some cheap hardboard, 3mm hardboard that I got from your local DIY store, and just stuck that onto the back of that with some double-sided tape. Seems to be doing the job. It's not fallen off the ceiling yet, so that's pretty cool. Created like a false wall essentially. Kind of pleased with that. I'm going to cut for a second and I'm going to show you the thing that I'm even more pleased with. Hold on. Check out this bad boy. Oh, it's not the lightest. Right. Let's move that over here a wee bit. Oh. I wanted to go the extra mile on this whole acoustic treatment thing. Made this stand here. Let me just take this off for a second. Made this stand out of some spare timber I had lying around from when I was sheeting the ceiling with the help of my dad. I slightly over purchased. So made this pretty cool stand, as you can see here. Sheet of hardboard, 3mm hardboard, stuck some more of this on here and hung it on. I'm going to show you an angle looking this way shortly, and you'll see why I've got that. I wanted a nice big sound panel right in front of me. I wanted to create a kind of recording chamber almost. So the acoustic waves coming from my voice weren't booming around the room. This actually goes about here, and as you can see, oh, look how wide I am in the top corner. As you can see, it's now ruining the shot, but I actually have this here when I'm filming, and it's just an extra bit of protection for boom and echo in the room. Okay. Now it really doesn't need it, but the other thing I'm going to do is put a couple of panels on the ceiling, just since I've got it anyway, so I might as well, otherwise it's just going to gather dust here in the garage. Now, it's come to my attention over the last couple of years that for YouTube greatness, not only do you need a fondness for wearing baseball caps and using the word dope all the time, but you need a vehicular accessory, preferably a motorised one, a little scooter that you could hang on the wall. Say, now, I don't have one of those, that's not my cup of tea, and I'm too old to learn how to use a skateboard. So I'll show you what I'm sitting staring at right now. That, ladies and gents, is the way to accessorise your YouTube studio. So that's the way we've done it. I've enjoyed showing you around. Maybe some of it's a bit advanced, maybe some of it's too basic actually for your needs. But either way, let us know how you think a good YouTube studio should be set up in the comments below. There's links also to our premium content down there, the drone cinematography masterclass and our drone film grade LUTs. So check all that stuff out. Keep in touch on Instagram, subscribe, you get the whole idea, and we will see you next time.